Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Tuesday, November 13th, 2018 Board of Trustees meeting. I'll call to order at 6 p.m. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Berry?
Here.
Mr. Culp? Here.
Do we need to do anything for,
Ask for, that you have him excused, yes.
I will make a motion that we excuse the absence of our board president, Mr. John Morris. Just need a second.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
Captain Stiegelmeyer, do you have casualties?
Good evening, Board. Assistant Chief Dennis Strait, age 59, Charlotte Road, Van Wyck Volunteer Fire Department, Lancaster, South Carolina. End of watch, November 7, 2018. Deputy Sheriff Lauren Vasquez, 23, Waller County Sheriff's Office, Texas. End of watch, October 31st, 2018. Corporal Travis Wells, 46, Dallas Police Department, North Carolina. End of watch, November 1st, 2018. Sergeant Ron Helis, 54, Ventura County Sheriff's Office, California. End of watch, November 8th, 2018. Police Officer Jared W. Franks, 24, Greensboro Police Department, North Carolina. End of watch, November 10, 2018. And finally, K-9 Axe, 4 years, St. Clair Shores Police Department, Michigan. End of watch, November 4th, 2018.
Thank you, Captain. We have one casualty from Operation Inherent Resolve and Freedom Sentinel. Sergeant James Slape, Operation Freedom Sentinel, October 4th, 2018, 23 of Morehead City, North Carolina, assigned to the 430th Explosive Ordnance Company, 60th Troop Command, North Carolina Army National Guard. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. I'll now make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
We'll now move into new business, and we'll begin our department head reports with our acting administrator, Mr. Hess.
Thank you, sir. Tonight we have a presentation from John Manier, Community Outreach and Education Manager for the Montgomery County Environmental Services on the 2019 Solid Waste Management Plan. Sir.
Good evening. Good evening, trustees. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, who are our board of directors. Thank you for allowing me to come tonight. I'm not going to belabor some of the information that you have in front of you, because we're going to be back in front of you on Thursday, and I don't want to be overly repetitious. But as you know, we've sent out to all of the municipalities, townships, and villages throughout Montgomery County to ratify our solid waste management plan. This is a plan that we're required to provide updates every 5 years. It's a 15-year plan. It is required by statute that we do this. And basically what this plan does is it, one, guarantees that we have disposal capacity for at least 10 years. So all of the waste that is generated within Montgomery County, we have to demonstrate that we have the availability of either landfill space or a combination of those types of disposal mechanisms to handle all of the waste that is generated over that period of time. The other thing that we have to demonstrate is that we're able to meet the state's waste reduction and minimization goals. There are two types of goal. One is a 25% for commercial and residential, and 60% or 66% for industrial. Then the other goal is accessibility and participation. What that simply means is that over 90% of the county residents have the ability to recycle or reduce waste, either through direct programs offered by their municipal agency or through programs that we help supplement. So the plan highlights, there really isn't a lot of change from the past years. The Solid Waste Management District, and just so that you know, for history purposes, I've been on the job for 2 months, so be gentle. But I do have a little bit of history, especially with your township. I was formerly with Waste Management when we had the contract several years ago. I had left the company to go out to Arizona to work with a municipality out there running their environmental department. So 2 months, so be gentle. But these are programs that you're probably familiar with that we offer over at the transfer station on Sand Ridge Road, the household hazardous waste, electronics, et cetera. These are programs that are available to the citizen at no cost. It's part of our plan guidelines that we offer these programs so that residents have an alternative place to drop off these materials that aren't collected at the curb. We also do education and outreach. We have an environmental education center that we invite school groups, organizations, non-for-profit organizations, businesses, et cetera, to come over and learn more about waste reduction and other environmental programs relating to water and wastewater as well. We offer grant programs through 2 municipalities. You're familiar with that because your township has applied and received those dollars in the past. And we also offer for the municipalities a buy recycle. That's, if you have, which a lot of people have parks in their communities and they want to buy certain types of playground equipment that are manufactured utilizing recycled plastic, it goes for those types of programs. Basically anything that involves or that has recycled product in it, and it's something that you need to purchase, that grant program is available for that. And then we also have 2 business grants for businesses in your community. If they want to begin recycling, they've never done it before, but they'd like to, we offer a program where for the first year of a 3-year contract, we will pay that cost on their behalf to get their program started for them. And then we also offer a capital project that they can apply for that's related to recycling as well to help offset their costs. The other education program that I want to highlight, and again, you're going to hear a little bit more about this on Thursday, so I don't want to belabor it, but it's going to be regarding contamination. I'm sure you've heard in the news all of the things going on with the recycling market, with what's going on over in China. The big issue here lately is that the materials recovery facility operator, which in our region is Rumpke Recycling, they've experienced a large amount of contamination in the recycling waste stream. Part of that's due to, the desire to recycle as much as possible. And so the educational information has been very confusing to residents. So we're going to start a campaign where we tighten that information down. We make it very simple and very easy to understand and clarity. And you're going to see probably a reduction in the type of materials that can be recycled. Again, making sure that the market that is available to them is sustainable. Current progress, as I mentioned, we have 2 goals. We're only required to meet one of those goals. But currently, we on the residential and commercial, remember that was 25%. We were at 23%, so we're close on meeting that. The industrial, you can see we've exceeded that. The goal is 66, we're at 83%. The most important information to you is that this is not the goal that we've identified in the plan. It's the participation and accessibility. So we had to demonstrate that over 90% of our population has access and can participate in recycling programs, and we have achieved that goal, and we'll continue on making sure that that goal is met. But we are going to be adding some new programs to try to achieve that 25% under commercial and industrial as well. So the additions to the plan, I've kind of mentioned a little bit. On the residential side, we are going to be doing a pilot in 2019 on what we call a pay-as-you-throw program. And again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. It's not a mandatory program that anybody has to participate in it. We're just going to be doing a pilot so that we can pull together all of the information based on our local program that we design to see how well it works, and then provide our findings of cost savings, challenges, successes back to the municipality. So when they get ready to evaluate their program, they'll be able to look to see if that is a program that they're interested in at least taking bids for. In a nutshell, the pay-as-you-throw program works just like electric or water. The more electric you use, the higher your bill is. The less you use, the lower your bill is. The pay-as-you-throw program is very similar. The more you recycle and the less that you generate, you have a smaller waste receptacle at the curb, and you're going to pay less than somebody that puts out 12 containers at the curb. It's just basically that simple of a program. Again, very much like electric utility or a water utility. And then we're also going to look at doing some outreach on partnerships, partnering with the University of Dayton and some other local institutes to try to see where we can leverage those opportunities to increase the commercial and industrial waste streams and identify some of those waste streams that we think are going to be trending. For example, we know that in the commercial waste stream, that food waste is becoming more of a hot topic for a lot of those types of generators, institutional schools, hospitals, restaurants in the area. So we are going to begin looking at the development of those type of programs with partnerships from private sector over the next several years. So where we're at right now, we're at the ratification process. This is what tonight is. I'm going around asking all the communities to pass a resolution that would ratify our plan. I will tell you that currently we are required to reach 60% of the representative population. We are currently at 73.2%. So technically our plan has been ratified, but to be honest with you, we are really trying to get 100%. The county has never achieved 100%, and so that's what we're looking for. So we're going to continue going out, meeting with communities that we haven't talked to, and asking them for passage of a resolution. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I have a couple, actually three. The pay-as-you-throw program.
Yes, sir.
So my neighbor just spent the weekend burning his leaves all Saturday long, right? I don't know why he did it, because obviously he could put them on the curb, he could bag them, whatever. Would people be influenced by that? Would they be encouraged to get rid of their trash in a different method if it was a pay-as-you-throw? Was that a household type charge, or is that a community type?
It's a household, and it's a great question. That is one of the challenges with the pay-as-you-throw program. People will seek alternative opportunities to try to do that. And that's one of the things that we're going to be evaluating is, do we see an increase in illegal dumping in specific areas when we do the pilot? What kind of things? Does the recycling container become more contaminated because of that? So those are some of the challenges. There are programs around the country that do these programs now, actually not too far from us. Yellow Springs has that program. The city of Kettering kind of has a quasi type of pay-as-you-throw program. So there's different ways that you can offer programs to kind of eliminate that, and that's what we're going to be modeling. As far as the burning of leaves, I can tell you that is a violation. You're not allowed to burn here in the state of Ohio unless you receive a permit from your fire station. So those are typically really heavily watched.
So my experience with that is, years ago I called the Miamisburg Fire Department, and evidently, you've got these longtime families in the community, and evidently their friends were the firemen who showed up, probably. And sorry for the disparagement there, but as soon as the fire truck pulled away, he just threw everything on the fire. So, it's a tough thing when you're dealing with neighbors. So just reporting it doesn't always work.
Right.
Second question was, So about 6 months ago, I'm driving through my neighborhood, and I see this first-generation American with his 2.5-gallon jug of coolant, pouring it down the drain, the side of the street. He knew it was wrong. When I stopped and spoke to him about it, I said, "Hey, this goes straight to the river. What are you doing?" So there's an education,
Right.
I mean, I think 90% of this is education. How do you guys do that? How do you
Yeah,
approach it?
that is a great question. And actually, one of the reasons why I was hired was specific to address those kind of issues. There is not a lot of education on water, wastewater, and in this case, stormwater, because that's really what we're talking about there. And so in 2019, one of my jobs is to develop a education outreach plan specifically to address those issues for Montgomery County. So you're going to begin seeing a lot more focus on different types of media, social media as well as print media, television media, centered around those types of environmental issues. So we will be coming back out to the townships to let you know launch, let you see some of the stuff preliminarily that we're looking at. So you are going to see a greater emphasis on that.
Okay, my last question, you're talking about industrial waste, industrial recycling, maybe it was. So when you have companies like Valacor, I'm not sure if that's their name now or not. Are you familiar with that name, Valacor?
I am not.
Okay, they've been based down in Franklin, Springboro type areas. They do a lot of this collection of industrial waste, recyclables from restaurants or wherever. So where does that go exactly, and who does the accounting to make sure that they, what they pick up is really what shows up?
Yeah, I can't speak specific to that company, but the Ohio EPA highly regulates any waste processing facilities, especially around food waste, because there's not very many approved facilities in the state of Ohio that can happen. I'd have to do a little bit of investigation on that particular application to see what's going on with it, and I'll do that and get that information back to Mr. Hess. But there is an accounting for it, and all of the waste that is processed would have to be identified, both the place of origin and also what the end product is for that.
Okay.
Thanks. I would just encourage you to make sure Jill Drury is our communications person, and any communications you have, you could push back to the township. We'll definitely put those out on our media platforms as well to try and help with the education for our residents, because I know there's times I'm not sure what you're supposed to put in the recycling bin and not. I know they've done a big push in the last week. I've seen a lot with what you should and shouldn't be putting in there.
Yeah, I know that Channel 7 came out and did a special report with us, and those are things that you're going to be seeing more and more here over the next year. And again, we're going to be talking more about that this coming week at the association meeting. But we'll definitely work with your communications folks on that. That'll be helpful.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
In conjunction with that presentation, we do have a resolution 101, 2016 to approve that plan. If you have nothing else further on that, Kevin Stegemeyer.
Thank you again, Board. What I'd like to do this evening is discuss Resolution 102-2018. What this resolution is, it's going to authorize the acting township administrator to enter into an agreement and execute the necessary documents with LexisNexis for the eCrash software. What we did is a little bit of background on this with the eCrash software is the police department itself had identified a problem that we're having with our accident reporting method. Currently, for the year 2018, the township's on track to handle approximately 900 auto accidents, which is a high volume of auto accidents for any police agency to handle. Currently, we're using a hybrid system, and what the hybrid system is for accident reporting is we can take them either electronically or we can do it the old-fashioned way, which is by paper and pen. This can be problematic in a couple of different ways. First of all, time and efficiency, the old-fashioned way with paper. It takes officers off the street, and it also is time-consuming just to manually enter all the data. What it also does is concurrently, when you're doing it manually, it can allow for errors the human error to happen when filling out the reports. Once the report is filled out, then we have the process of it having to go to our records department, where they have to physically prepare that document to be sent to the state of Ohio for the reporting purposes. So as you can tell, not only is it cumbersome, it's just totally inefficient for this day and time. What we're proposing, what the police department is proposing, is to switch to a totally electronic format for doing our report writings for accident reports. By transferring to the electronic accident report writing system, the police department become more efficient and reduce the amount of time officers are off the streets taking reports. What it also allows us to do is automatically file these reports with the state of Ohio in a more timely manner, which again makes the police department operate more efficiently. And it also would, believe it or not, reduce the amount of postage we're presently paying when we're physically mailing these reports on up to the state of Ohio to be processed. Finally, in this day of being green, what it also allows us to do is reduce record storage facilities that we're presently using for the old paper style. So we're actually becoming, trying to work a little bit smarter, not so hard. The electronic accident reporting system that we're proposing to implement is the Ohio E-Crash Reporting Program. This program is administered and maintained by LexisNexis and offers the following benefits to the police department. Again, faster reporting times from the police department to the Ohio Department of Public Safety. That benefits everybody because some insurance companies as well as people can access their accidents in a more timely manner when they need copies of the reports. It reduces the number of police reports that are actually returned from the Ohio Department of Public Safety back to the Miami Township Police Department due to human error. The new report writing system has an automatic check or balance that will prevent that from happening. It still offers two options for the public to access copies for auto accidents if they choose. They can come into the police department at our records window and still manually get a copy, or they can access the website through LexisNexis and again, electronically access a copy of their accident report for insurance reasons or for whatever reason they may need. One vital program that I want to push regarding the eCrash program is if we become involved in this with LexisNexis, it opens two different databases for investigative purposes for police officers. As part of this program, we will be afforded the opportunity to have access to the Carfax and also the Experian AutoCheck databases that officers can use, which will help during all types of investigations while they're on their tour duties. Finally, this offers the police department the ability to collect some administrative costs that we incur while we're handling accident reports and getting copies out to the public. By using LexisNexis, this will allow us to retrieve a little bit of extra money that we normally have not been able to in the past. The cost analysis that we conducted for the eCrash reporting system is one that we'll all find to be very beneficial because there is no charge. LexisNexis maintains all the charge associated with this, as well as they will provide all training to all members of the police department for free. So that's a big plus for us. So in summary, the police department is always looking ways to improve their efficiency and effectiveness and to work harder, to work smarter, not harder. By implementing the Ohio eCrash accident reporting system, the police department will reduce downtime for the officers that are currently experiencing when they fill out crash reports, become more efficient when forwarding the crash reports to the Department of Public Safety, and reduce storage capacities by transitioning over to a fully electronic file storage format and become more cost effective. It is my recommendation that the Miami Township Police Department enter an agreement with LexisNexis to implement the Ohio eCrash reporting system at the Miami Township Police Department. And I'd be willing to entertain any questions if the board has.
A couple quick ones. Is there a time period for the agreement? Is there
As far as the startup or for the length of the agreement?
the length of the agreement?
It's open-ended.
Okay. And is the reporting done through the in-car computers currently, or do they have to come back to the police station to enter the information?
There's two ways they can do that. Currently, this system will be implemented to all the MDTs that are inside the cruisers presently. And we'll also have a workstation on at the station.
Okay.
Currently, they come back and do it because our MDTs are so old, and they can't run up with our new RMS that we have. So if you've seen a couple of the POs that were out of seized funds, we're buying new MDTs. So this will line up with the replacement of those computers. The officers will be able to do it in the cars themselves instead of having to come back.
Okay.
Now, if somebody comes in and wants to report an accident, they can just pull it up on a monitor.
Okay. Well, but this also saved time for an officer having to drive all the way back to
Yes.
the station to do that. Mr. Culp?
Just was wondering about the cost, which is free.
Free.
What's the motivation for LexisNexis to provide a free product?
There's a,
Go ahead, Chief, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
and we started looking at this about a year ago when Captain Johnson was here, but because of the new RMS for the county, we decided we didn't want to overload all the officers. The advantage of them is that there's a convenience fee if you get it through LexisNexis. So an insurance company will probably have to wait 2 weeks to get it from us. They can get it the next day so that they can close that claim out. So the rental cars and everything that they're paying for a small convenience fee through LexisNexis, they can get that almost the next day.
Okay.
So that's their incentive.
Okay.
Now, if somebody wants to come in to our PD, they aren't charged anything.
All right.
Any other questions on that one? Anything else from the police department?
Not at this time.
Mr. Mayberry?
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Board. The legislation I have before you tonight establishes our 2019 resurfacing program. I can answer questions about this, but we've had several conversations over the last few months. So if there are any questions about this topic or other public works items, I'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Mr. Snyder?
Good evening, Board. I do have one item for your consideration tonight. It's Resolution 104-2018. This is a resolution to authorize the acting township administrator to execute a letter of intent contemplating the conveyance of real estate to the Miami Township Community Improvement Corporation for its subsequent sale to Renegade Warehouse. You do have in your packet a letter of intent from Renegade Warehouse, owned by Matt Muncie. They would like to purchase 2 acres of land currently in the possession of Miami Township, located behind the Public Works Facility at 10899 Wood Road. This transaction is contemplated to permit the ultimate construction of approximately a 14,000 square foot sports performance training facility that caters primarily to high school and college athletes. At this time, again, this is just a letter of intent. If this is authorized, if you would like to move forward with the sale of this property, we would then move towards putting together a formal purchase and sale agreement that we would then bring back to this board. This transaction does have to go through our Community Improvement Corporation because this would be a transfer to a private non-governmental party. This would essentially be a 3-party agreement ultimately. In order to permit the proposed use that Renegade would like to establish on the property, this would require rezoning of the property. It's currently zoned in our agricultural district. We would contemplate putting this into some type of a planned development district. So that would require the township applying as the current property owner to amend the zoning map to change the zoning from agriculture to some type of commercial zoning that would permit the use out there. It is contemplated that if it were to go into a planned development district, that we would go through that approval process and the process for them to get the lot splits necessary to divide off the property approved through Montgomery County prior to a final closing on the property. We anticipate that would take approximately 4 to 5 months, likely depending on some of the actions that would be required at the county to go completely through that process. So this is just the first step, but obviously this is the opportunity to decide if you would like to move forward with a potential sale of this property to Renegade Warehouse. So, and with that, you do have a copy of the letter of intent in your packets, along with my memo. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to go over those at this time, but
Nothing.
all right.
Mr. Kyle Enkelman.
Thank you. I have nothing formal for the board this evening. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Mr. Clay McCord.
Good evening, Board. I have two items tonight. The first in your packet, the two JEDs, or actually the three JEDs that the township currently participates in, have submitted their budget proposals for 2019 for your review and feedback. In each one, you'll see a line item in there called intergovernmental disbursements to Miami Township, and that would be the anticipated revenue that would be generated and disgorged back to, to the township in calendar 2019. Those budgets are anticipated to be approved at the annual meeting in December. And so in the meantime, if there's any feedback that you'd like to pass along or pass back to them, I'd be happy to take that back to them for you. And then the second item is Resolution 105-2018, which is linked in part back to Mr. Mayberry's Resolution 103, and it's the funding mechanism for the 2019 asphalt paving plan. Right now, because the county wants us to pay that in advance, I'm proposing that we move money out of the Road and Bridge Stabilization Fund 94 into Road and Bridge Fund 04, so that we can go ahead and effect that payment this month. And that requires not only an authorization for the transfer, but the appropriation as well for the purposes of the 2019 paving budget. So any questions on either of those items?
I don't have a question on one of those items, but do we have to do an appropriation for me to get a new cell phone?
Not now.
It's an inside joke. Government doesn't move fast enough for any of us, and my phone has been down for 2 weeks. So somebody at the end of the thing is holding it up.
I'm drinking the orange juice as fast as I can.
That's why I said it's the guy at the end of this one right here.
I see an empty chair.
Oh, no, it's not Kyle. I would ask you during the IT portion of it. No further questions.
Sir, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you. We will now open the meeting to public comments. Anyone wishing to make a public comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Static. Bob Matthews, 2230 Cross Village Drive. Just had a question about the system for the collecting the accident reports. Is there any data there that's more of a, I know there'd probably be laws restricting personal information, personal identifiable data, but is there any information there that would be considered somewhat personal that otherwise LexisNexis would not have access to if we did not put it into their system? Does that make sense?
None.
Yeah, it absolutely does. No, there's none that would be released outside the public records law. There's nothing else that would be released.
Okay, so anything that they're getting would already be public information.
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. That's all I had. A quick question for Chris. So if you have to rezone that section you want to sell, would you rezone it before the sale, after the sale, or as part of the sale? Or is that an important question?
We anticipate rezoning it prior to the sale.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to make a public comment? We will close the public comment portion, and move into the consideration of resolutions and motions. And I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 101-2018, a resolution to approve the solid waste management plan of the Montgomery County Solid Waste Management District. Therefore be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees approves the solid waste management plan of Montgomery County Solid Waste Management District adopted by the Solid Waste Management Policy Committee on August 29, 2018, and be it further resolved, a copy of this resolution of approval shall promptly be delivered or caused to be delivered to the Solid Waste Management Policy Committee of the Montgomery County Solid Waste Management District.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion on the resolution?
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
I'll make a motion we approve resolution number 102-2018, a resolution authorizing the acting township administrator to enter into an agreement with and execute the necessary documents with LexisNexis for the eCrash software. Therefore be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees authorizes the acting township administrator to enter into an agreement with LexisNexis for the eCrash accident reporting system at no cost to the township.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
I make a motion we approve resolution number 103-2018, a resolution to commit the township to the Montgomery County 2019 asphalt resurfacing, curb ramp replacement, and pavement marking programs. Therefore, be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees authorizes participation in county contracts, authorizes a down payment for anticipated work, authorizes the county engineer and/or his agents to enter upon township roadways for the purposes herein stated, and upon completion of these purposes agrees to pay the county for the remainder of all actual costs incurred.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
I make a motion we approve resolution number 104-2018, a resolution authorize acting township administrator to execute a letter of intent contemplating the conveyance of real estate to the Miami Township Community Improvement Corporation for its subsequent sale to Renegade Warehouse LLC. Therefore, be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees, Sections 1, 2, and 3.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
Where's 105? There it is. I make a motion we approve resolution number 105-2018, a resolution to authorize a transfer of funds from the Road and Bridge Budget Stabilization Fund, number 94, to the Road and Bridge Fund, number 04. Therefore, be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees authorizes the fiscal officer to transfer $621,470 from the Road Budget Stabilization Fund, number 94, to the Public Works Fund, number 04, and appropriate those funds for payment of the required deposit for participation in the 2019 program.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
We will now move into elected officials' comments. Mr. Newell.
I have nothing.
Mr. Culp.
I'd just like to thank the township for putting on the Veterans Day breakfast this week. It was a very well-run event.
I second that, and I would also like to thank our police department for bringing a software program and a program that's going to help efficiencies and something that's not going to cost money. Fantastic. Great. We appreciate that. Without any other comments or things on the budget, I'll make a motion we adjourn at 6:37.